HSU Neurology for having me. Thank you also to Mary O'Hara, who continues to champion emotional wellness, creativity, and social support across neurodegenerative diseases and their families. And I'm humbled and honored to once again get the dream team back together with Josh and Janine. I'm Anastasia Canfield. I am a board-certified music therapist, licensed professional counselor, and registered play therapist. I'm also working on my doctorate in health sciences, so great building to be in. I'm trained in neurologic music therapy, interpersonal neurobiology, and client-centered play therapy. I specialize in work with neurodegenerative diseases and neurodivergent people across the lifespan. A common misnomer about neurodiversity is that that means autistic or ADHD. While those do fall into the neurodivergent category, neurodiversity actually refers to the natural and acquired brain differences from the norm or the majority of the population. Lewy Body Dementia does fall into the neurodivergent category, and I'll give you a brief and not exhaustive by any means overview of how music therapy and play therapy can be used to support individuals and families experiencing Lewy Body Dementia. I'm asked almost daily, what is music therapy? This modality is individualized and person-centered, so I often turn the question around to try to understand this person in front of me, their relationship with music. What is their favorite genre, artist, song? Do they listen to the lyrics or mostly just the music? Why? What does it do for them? How does it impact them? Do they use it to augment activities like exercise, relaxing, or cooking? Do they have important memories connected to music? Are they musicians themselves? Is a loved one a musician? Understanding the associations, experiences, memories, sensory profile, preferences, and other relevant connections to music is part of the music therapy process. For example, a song may have been played at one person's wedding. When they hear that song, their hippocampus and their limbic system is activated. They're instantly reminded of that moment, and they can often remember details vividly across all of their senses. They might even have physiological reactions, like a galvanic skin response, where they might start crying. They might want to dance or reminisce. Alternatively, that same song may have been played at someone else's loved one's funeral. This other person's hippocampus and limbic system are also going to be activated, and they're going to be reminded of that moment. And they may also have physiological responses, but the meaning of these are going to be much different. These mechanisms are part of what we consider in our work as music therapists. Music therapy is not about just sitting in a music experience in a passive way, like listening to pleasurable music and reminiscing. At times we do that, but there are many other ways that we use music therapeutically to augment care. As board-certified music therapists, we're trained in therapeutic applications and assessment, including a biopsychosocial assessment, a music response assessment, to determine the most efficacious way that music can support the needs of individuals, families, and groups in individualized and meaningful ways. You may be familiar with the concept of neuroplasticity and the phrase, neurons that fire together, wire together. Research indicates that regardless of damage, age, or exposure, our brains have the capacity to adapt and change in response to novel experiences, particularly whenever they are interesting and pleasurable. Interest-driven and pleasurable interventions have a backdoor effect on neuroplasticity, offering alternative rerouting in the brain for cognitive and physical rehabilitation, memory, speech and language, and more. Music processing is also not a singular experience. It's almost a full brain phenomenon. However, this depends on many variables due to the music experience that's being processed. In my work, this is the basis from which I begin conceptualizing the interventions to design for my clients' unique treatment plans. I consider where is the damage or loss of functioning, and where are we trying to reroute functioning, or what other goals do we have for this client, and how do I develop a music experience to support that? There is a fair amount of research, clinical research, about music therapy and the use of music in various ways in dementia care. Music therapy has intrinsic and extrinsic properties that enhance its effectiveness. It exists and works at the biological, neurological, social, cultural, and emotional intersection for each individual or group. Music therapy is goal-driven and clinical beside its person-centered care emphasis. Goals align with the strengths and the needs of the individual or group, and goals are often aligned with the interdisciplinary plan of care whenever there is a full treatment team. Music therapy has a clinical process that may look a little different depending on the specialty of the board-certified music therapist, but generally the assessment and treatment plan process will look similar to this. Music therapy emphasizes the ISO principle, which is person-centered in nature, because it identifies where is the person emotionally, physically, physiologically, or cognitively, and meets them there within a music experience. Then it shifts that person to their desired states, such as from agitation to relaxation, or from drowsy to alert. So that was a lot of just information. So here are some examples of how music therapy looks in dementia care. It's highly individualized and no two music therapy sessions look the same, but here are some examples. With older adults, opportunities for reminiscence support meaningful aging. We've talked about that in basically all of our presentations here this morning. Music therapy can play an important role in setting the stage for this. Music therapy can also support the maintenance of functioning or rehabilitation through many, many different opportunities, like enhancing exercise through music and movement, breath support and voice training through singing and wind instrument playing, and emotional expression through songwriting, group singing, and instrument playing. And the best news is that no experience is necessary. No music experience is required to benefit from music therapy. So I'm also a registered play therapist, and almost as much as I am asked what music therapy is, I'm also asked to explain play therapy. There is significant clinical overlap between these mechanisms. There's a growing body of research in neuroscience indicating that our brains continue developing well into our older years and through injury and exposure as well. Non-pharmacological interventions such as music therapy and play therapy are getting more attention for their role in neurodevelopmental support. A common misconception about play therapy is that it is only designed for or geared toward children. Due to shifts in the approach to dignifying aging and from a medical model approach to a person-centered care approach, play therapy has begun entering the conversation as a meaningful way for interpersonal engagement, intergenerational engagement, and self-expression that does not necessarily rely on verbal language and can adapt based on cognitive, physiological, and motoric needs. Play therapy offers opportunities for autonomy and empowerment through active engagement in meaningful tasks. It leans on creativity and individuality, which can support dignifying aging. In the field of play therapy, a prominent child-centered play therapist named Gary Landreth said play is the language of children when imparting the importance of play to the developmental process. But I would like to expand his quote by sharing what the research actually says, that play is the language of all of us. Play may look similar or different as we age, and is the language of all of us because it is within play and creativity that we often connect with others, support optimal learning, process the world around us, reach catharsis, and increase joy and quality of life. Think about why we join book clubs, attend painting classes, watch sports with our friends and family, have game nights, and more. Music therapy and play therapy can offer sensory-rich experiences that are familiar and grounding regardless of the state of alertness. They can also strongly engage our limbic system for emotional processing and pain management. Play therapy offers opportunities for reminiscence that do not rely on verbal language, such as a registered play therapist using psychodrama to set up a tea party for a man who never got the opportunity for a celebration upon his return from World War II. Or a woman who is comforted by carrying a lifelike baby doll to be reminded of her children and her grandchildren. Or scheduled game nights and game times like bridge and bunco that encourage regular interaction and the completion of activities of daily living, like getting out of bed, brushing one's teeth, and taking a shower. Like music therapy, play therapy also engages numerous neuroanatomical structures. Play therapy integrates sensory experiences like social interaction and symbolic and meaning-based interventions, as well as creativity, which we are learning through research in neuroscience that these interventions support brain health across the lifespan and through injury and neurodegeneration. Play therapy is individualized and can align with the uniqueness of each person's identity and culture, which provides safety in unfamiliar locations or when experiencing an episode. Interventions are adaptive, which is ideal for varying cognitive and arousal states and ranges in physical and motoric functioning and memory loss. Play therapy is linked to increases in oxytocin and dopamine. We already talked about some of that today. Oxytocin is also known as the connection hormone, or the cuddle or the love hormone. This neurohormone is released in response to meaningful interactions between loved ones. This reduces the harmful effects of loneliness as someone ages. Dopamine is the pleasure or reward chemical, which can be linked to pain perception and plays an important role in movement. Play therapy can increase dopamine, which has an analgesic effect. Play therapy has also been linked to a reduction in cortisol due to its sensory-rich and identity-affirming interventions. It can bring familiarity in unfamiliar environments where stress can be common. It can engage the individual's brain in a creative sensory experience that elicits joy and fulfillment. Play therapy works from the 20 identified therapeutic powers of play. And within a play therapy experience, these are the results that we are looking for. These therapeutic powers of play are not only relevant for children, they're relevant for all stages of life, but may look a little bit different. Like music therapy, no two play therapy sessions look the same. Play therapy aims to provide opportunities for the individual to be meaningfully engaged in their world, creatively and imaginatively, without judgment. This may be through directive or non-directive means, like the therapist issuing prompts and being a very active participant in someone's world, or the therapist being a more passive participant in the person's work. It can integrate the conscious and subconscious through symbolic meaning, metaphor, and imagery, and it can provide opportunities for nonverbal communication in this way as well. Like music therapy, there is an assessment and treatment process that we follow as registered play therapists. Depending on specialty, the individual we're working with, the interdisciplinary team, and other variables, this might look a little bit different, but this is the general process for play therapy and dementia care. The integration of music therapy and play therapy and dementia care treatment supports good aging. It is an important part of dignifying, sensory-based, culturally inclusive, and relationship-based quality of life enhancing care. Also, like music therapy, no two play therapy sessions look the same, but here are some examples of some play therapy interventions. For older adults, sand tray, role-playing, art, and games are especially supportive, but all are integrated depending on the meaningful assessment and identity of the individual during the treatment planning process. For both of these experiential therapies, there are many overlapping mechanisms, but one of the most important, and I think we have all said this in one way or another today, that relationships are key. These relationships may be between the therapist and the individual in the group, the individual and their family, the individual and their interdisciplinary team, but ideally a combination thereof. It is through these modalities that associations, memories, experiences, preferences, and sensory profile can be unlocked or maintained through neuroplasticity and this backdoor effect of rerouting functioning, and can show promise for slowing the progression of dementia and increasing quality of life, joy, and creativity along the way. Thank you.